attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening. I just wanted to let you know that we are actually here. On my computer it says 7 o'clock. I'm going to wait one more minute because there's still a few people signing on. But so exactly at 7:01 we will start the webinar. Okay, good evening. My name is David Boster. I'm with SCORE Bucks County, and welcome to Webinar Wednesday. This week we start a special series. We have a 6-part series on digital marketing, on an introduction to digital marketing, which would be the general topic will be discussed this evening. Future webinars over the next couple of months, all on Wednesdays, will cover such topics as search engine optimization, how to more effectively utilize your email, what is the role of Facebook in today's world, how can we use LinkedIn to increase our business, and how do we deal with when we see negative comments about our business. What should be our approach to those kinds of situations. As you know, SCORE Bucks County is the local chapter for a national organization, SCORE National, and we are composed of volunteers who are retired or semi-retired, either business owners, former executives within companies, and we have a twofold mission. Our one mission is educate small businesses, entrepreneurs, for example, through webinars and seminars on various business topics. Our other mission is our ability to offer free one-on-one mentoring or counseling sessions for those of you who perhaps are looking to start a business and need some help and guidance, or you have a small business and you're facing a hurdle and you want to grow your business but are not quite sure which direction to go. We are happy to help you along those lines. We are very, very lucky tonight to have two very experienced presenters. And to get things started, I want to introduce to you Dr. Don Geltz. Don is a certified SCORE member. He's got a varied record, all of it positive, by the way, in business, and currently is an associate professor at Holy Family College in the business department. So without further ado, and unfortunately we don't have any fanfare, but Don, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. So folks, welcome to our kickoff webinar on digital marketing. My role here tonight is simply to give a brief introduction before turning it over to our subject matter expert, Don Abati. So I wanted to start with what is digital marketing so we have a common understanding. It's very easy to get lost in all of the pieces and some of the flashy stuff. So I wanted to start with, first of all, that on the next slide, and I'm waiting on the next slide, Dave.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
That's the next slide?
It should be an overview. We start with marketing, first of all. So digital marketing, we have to remember that when we're doing digital marketing, we are doing marketing. So we have to start with the fact that we understand our products service offering. We understand the branding of that offering. We have lots of means of communicating that brand through traditional media, TV, radio, billboards, everything that we're very, very familiar with. And so we need that foundation. If we don't have the foundation of marketing in place, then digital marketing just plain doesn't work. Secondly, is it's easy to look at digital marketing as just one more media channel that says, hey, we've got another way of communicating our brand and our offering benefits to our customers. But that's really a very short-sighted way of thinking about marketing, digital marketing. Because digital marketing has some really wonderful aspects. First of all, we can actually measure the responses to our various ads and test and compare, measure across ads very, very easily. And you can't do that with a billboard on Interstate 95. And secondly, it's interactive. That is, we can actually form an interactive relationship with our customers. So the overall purpose of digital marketing is really to drive traffic to our website. So if what we're doing, if our likes and our posts and everything is not driving traffic to our website, then it's not doing any good. What we need to do is drive traffic to our website so that we can convert that traffic to sales. So I'm only seeing slide 2, Dave. Is it progressing, or am I? There we go. There's slide 2. This is an overview of marketing. We have to start with traditional marketing. We don't want to view digital marketing as just another channel of communicating with our customers. So we need to take a broader view of that on slide number 4. While we're waiting. So one way of looking at it is just digital is another media channel, but we need to take a broader view of that. And the better view of digital marketing is that what we're doing here is creating traffic to the website, and the objective is to convert the traffic and grow the relationship. So there are really 3 ways of creating, primarily 3 ways of creating traffic to your website, which is shown on slide 5. When we do that, we actually are able with digital marketing to create an interactive relationship with our customers. So we're still marketing. We're just doing it through a very interactive channel, and for the most part, digital marketing supplements traditional marketing channels. So very few of us, small businesses, entrepreneurs, can rely solely on digital marketing. So on the next slide, there we go, boom, boom, boom. So we'll also notice here the arrows are going in the other direction. So on the next slide, the big 3, and these are the topics that we start with in our digital marketing series. Really the big 3 ways of generating traffic is through search, and that's oftentimes the primary way of people finding our website with traffic. Email marketing, a very focused way of communicating with customers, and then through the more popular social media channels. So these are just some of the more popular social media channels, and we will cover all of these topics at the introductory level in our webinar series. So on the next slide, I get to conclude that this is the overview. We're talking about digital marketing. We're talking about ways of creating traffic, converting it and growing it. We need to continue to communicate our unique value proposition to our customers. And the next presenter, Donna Botti, will really carry this forward, and she's our subject matter expert for the evening. I remind you, since I have one more second, that one of the things we do offer is counseling. You can go to our website and register for free mentoring sessions. Okay, Donna, it's yours.
Great. So I can't tell if I'm showing the right screen. You see getting started with digital marketing on your screen there?
We see it.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you for having me help kick off this series. Digital marketing encompasses a lot of the things that you mentioned. I'm Donna Botti, and my company is Delos, and we're based out of Collegeville, Pennsylvania. And what we do is we make the web work for you, and that means websites and digital marketing strategies, the types of things that Don had just mentioned. Also want to tell you that I happen to be an authorized local expert for Constant Contact, which has email marketing and more. If you guys are not familiar with that, it's one of the tools that you can use to help automate and get a little better results with your digital marketing. So what we really need to talk about when we talk about digital marketing is the changing web and social media landscape. Over the past couple of years, we've had an incredible amount of change in the way that business is done. A lot of this has to do with the supercomputers that we now carry around in our pockets. When you think about how incredible it is that 10 years ago, the smartphone just came into being, and 5 years ago, only a third of people had them, and today there was a recent survey from Pew that said more than half of people can't even live without one. It's really changed the way consumers expect to do business with you as a business owner. There's been an incredible amount of change, and some of the questions is, are you keeping up? There's so much out there today. It's Pinterest, Google, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, Facebook, you know, your website, it has to be mobile. What about, does my thing happen on a watch? So typically what we see is a common reaction is this. It's very, very confusing, but it doesn't have to be. As long as you remember, as Don had referenced this is still just marketing. You have a message, and your ultimate goal is to build relationships with your customers and prospects. So what's happening now? You can't actually ignore all of this, though. 52% of adults use more than one social media site. Things like Instagram. Half of young adults 18 to 29 use Instagram every day. More than half of college-educated adults are on LinkedIn. And believe it or not, senior citizens are the fastest growing demographic on Facebook that there is today. So what I want to talk with you about is how do you get your presence online? And what I have is 7 steps to an effective local digital presence. It's really changed a lot in the sense that for B2B especially, people are 80% through the sales process before they even contact you. You need to think about the fact that the web and online is your virtual front door, and you can't really separate out what's online and what's offline today. So as an introductory thing, what I'm going to talk about is the foundations that you need to take, which will allow you to take advantage of all of these things that are coming up in the additional seminars. You can't do SEO if you don't, for example, the first thing I'm going to mention, which is own your own domain name. It's really important that you own your presence online. A number of years ago, a lot of people felt they were they could just have a Facebook page, for example. I don't need to do that. Well, Facebook changes the rules all the time. If you build your entire web presence on Facebook, for example, you are building on rented land. When you own your own domain name, what you put on your website is what you control and what you own. So many people don't realize that Facebook, for example, when they changed the rules, decided not to show all content to everyone. Those of you that have a Facebook page probably are familiar with Facebook's common refrain now. Every time you go to post, would you like to boost this post? In other words, you now have to pay in order to get your information shown. So it's really important that you own your own domain name, and also that you know how to access this. I do have another presentation I give that says, who has the keys to your website? Because we often talk to business owners that don't know who has the login and the password to owning that name. That name should be like your bank account. You should protect it. You should know how to access it. You would not show up at your place of business and stand around with all your employees going, how do we get in? Who has the keys? So owning your own domain name is not a really expensive proposition. GoDaddy often has sales $2.99 a year, but generally speaking, you're going to pay $15 to $20 a year for a domain name with private registration. And that name is separate from your website or your mail or anything like that. You pay really for the name itself, so that nobody else on the web can go to joespizza.com if you happen to own the name for that. So the second thing, when you have your name, is you should use email at your own domain. There's nothing that inspires confidence like getting an email from your financial advisor, crazycat5793@AOL.com. It's not professional, it's not recognizable, and it doesn't help in your branding. So make sure that you use email at your own domain. Now, a few years ago, email that came with your websites were really, really terrible. You couldn't get it on your phone. It didn't sync. I would answer it on my computer. You couldn't get it there. But times have really changed, and it's a good idea to use a service like Google's G Suite, which is basically like all the Gmail stuff but your own domain, or Microsoft Office 365, because they'll sync across all your devices, your contacts, your calendar, and it just looks a lot more professional to have your own domain name. You have to think about branding. So you have your name, you have your email at your domain. The next thing is your NAP is really, really important. Now, sleep is a huge issue for sure, but this is not that type of a NAP. It stands for your name, address, and phone number. And bonus, your website. How are you found on the web? For local businesses in particular, it's something that relies a lot on what's called citations, references to your business in the real world and on other places on the web. All the search engines share and trade the same data, and they also get information from a lot of information brokers who just have information on businesses. The more consistent your name, address, and phone number and your website is across all of these sources, the better chance you have of ranking in search. If Google finds your phone number and a Facebook page and some credit information, all kinds of information with the same name, address, phone number, then they're pretty sure that you're a real business and that you're the same business. If one site, I'm Joe's Pizza, and another place, I'm Joe's Takeout and Catering, to the algorithms of the search engines, they look like different businesses. Some people try to think, well, if I have it registered all these different ways, I'm actually helping myself, but really what you're doing is diluting your presence. And a lot of this today on mobile is all driven by maps, your location on the map. So the next thing I'm about to say is probably one of the most important things you can do as a local business. Are you on Google's map? Google, first of all, does not call you. I know a lot of people in business maybe get phone calls, automated phone calls all the time saying Google wants to talk to you about your map presence. That's not really Google, and Google has actually started suing those people. But you can verify and claim and register your business on Google for free. Now, I have a link up here. This is about get your business on the map. You could check to see if your business is showing up on Google. It's going to give you 3 answers. It's going to say, hey, great, you're on the map. Everything is good. Would you like to update the information about your business? You should try to do that because you want to make sure that you are the one who actually owns your business on the web. Sometimes we find, oh, that was an intern 3 summers ago, now we don't know how to get in to update our hours or different things like that. Again, it has to do with keys. Make sure you know. It may say that, hey, you're on the map, but you're not verified, in which case Google will send you a postcard to your place of business, and you will then fill in that code and you'll be verified. And the third thing is it may say, hey, we have no record of you at all, and you get the opportunity to add yourself at that point. Now, one of the questions I often get is, well, you know, I have a service business. Maybe it's a landscaper or, you know, a roofer or someone who, you know, a coach who doesn't have an office, as a virtual office. I meet with people at their location. You still want to claim your business on Google, and they have an option that says that. I service customers at their location, and it'll ask you to pick a radius. Where is the area you want to show up in? So why this is so important is if you ever have typed into a search engine yourself, you know, where is a dry cleaner near me, it's all driven by the maps. Even if I don't type near me, but a lot of people are doing that more, the web search engine knows where you are located. If right now you type into your browser pizza and you are located in Pennsylvania, you are not going to see pizza shops in Georgia or Texas or Oklahoma coming up because they know enough to know where you are. So if you're a local business, one of your most important things to do is to make sure that you're on the map. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4, this is something that Dawn had alluded to, and that is that you should make your website the center of your strategy. And I talked a little bit about this already in terms of you really need to know that you own and control your website and all the information on there. Now, I've been using this chart for a while now, and honestly, I have replaced a number of these outspokes as different things went away. I don't know if anyone remembers Flickr, or there were some other ones in here. We've added some new ones. The little ghost at the bottom is Snapchat. If you have all your most important information on your website, you can use email and all the social media channels to promote that information. If a particular channel goes away or is not in favor anymore, you don't have to start over again from scratch somewhere else. So it's important. Make your website the center of your strategy. If it's important enough that you need to say it, it should be telling your story online. So it goes without saying today, but there's still a lot of businesses that aren't there. It's really important that your website is mobile. Mobile responsive is Google's preferred choice, and what you're seeing on the screen is an example of a mobile responsive website. It's one website. It's not a separate mobile version or a mobile app. It's one website that you have to maintain, but it changes according to the width of the device you're looking at. Right now, Google actively downgrades sites that are not mobile responsive. More website viewing, more searches, more social media, and more emails are all read on mobile devices today than on desktops. It's changed radically in the past few years, and it doesn't show any signs of stopping. I personally know a lot of people whose home computers are now gathering dust because they just do everything on their phone. And a staggering statistic on the social media area is that 1 out of every 5 minutes we spend on our phones is spent on Facebook. So whatever you do, make sure you are looking at your site and your web presence on a phone. Okay, so Number 5, email your customers and prospects. This is important because there are 3 types of traffic that you have on the web. There is paid traffic, where you have advertisements and you get traffic because of that, and it works and it's great, but when you stop paying, the traffic goes. There's earned traffic, and that is traffic because you have a viral post or your search engine SEO is really good, and it takes a while to do it, but that's good. But the 3rd type is owned traffic. Who are people you can contact whenever you want? That's your email list. There's a saying that says the money is in the list. Your list is extremely valuable, your customers and prospects. So why else do we want to use email and get emails to people and email them? Well, the first thing is that you reach customers directly where they are, which is in their inbox. It is the #1 app on people's phones, and everyone, 95+% of people check their email every day. It'd be interesting to know if there's anybody on this call who did not check email today. That's where people are. Plus, surveys have said that they're more interested in hearing from businesses from email rather than any of the other channels that there might be. That includes print, texting, social media, TV, radio, mailings, any type of things. Email was preferred by over 70%. The second reason is deliverability. If you post something on Twitter, which is like a fire hose of information, at any given time, you can have 1,000 followers. How many of them actually see your tweet? It's very, very difficult to go back and find something from a year ago or a day ago or sometimes even an hour ago on Twitter or any of the other social media things. The other thing is Facebook, for example. The average is about 6% of your fans actually see your post in their news feed if you haven't paid to promote it. So if you have 100 fans, 6 of them will see your message. If you use an email service like Constant Contact or one of the other ones who have agreements on deliverability, because it's a permission-based marketing thing, 99% of your messages will arrive in someone's inbox. And it will sit there until someone takes some action there, whether that's reading it, deleting it, archiving it. If I didn't get your email message on Monday and it's now Wednesday night and I happen to be going through my emails, I'm still going to see your message. Even if I just maybe am skimming through headlines, it's another touch and I remembered your name and I got it. Of course, we want to make it attractive enough and informative enough and valuable enough that people actually open them. But the point being, it's sticky, it stays there till you do something. Using email also lets you kind of consolidate your lists in one place. Prospects, customers, segmenting according to, oh yeah, here's my biggest donors if I'm a nonprofit, here's my volunteers, and it just helps organize your information. Well, we're going backwards. Here we go. And it's really important that it's mobile. If I get an email that looks like something on the left, which is very small, a lot of information to read, most people will delete something like that, and a huge number of them unsubscribe. Remember, more emails are read on phones, and you have about 5 seconds to get their attention and get your message across. Constant Contact did a survey of, I think it was, I don't know how many millions of emails, but they found that the most engagement came from 21 lines of text or less and 1 link. The old days of taking your paper newsletter and converting it and sending it out once a month with a whole slew of articles are just not getting the results anymore. So I want to show you an example of a template that I use, and we use a lot with our customers as well, as to what makes a good mobile responsive email. You can see it's short, it's very quick. It has the logo and branding. This happens to be something I send out every week called a Tech News Tuesday. It has a title. If there's more information, link back to your website or link to an article or event registration, whatever. Keep it short and sweet in the email itself, but include your contact information and all of your social sharing on there. So, as I said, this is today's traffic on the web. It's the paid, the earned, and the owned. As you do your email, as you do your website, it's most important that you know your goals. What am I trying to accomplish here? Get traffic to your website, whether that's through social, email, or search, or paid advertising. And from that traffic, make sure that you can contact and hold on to those people and get conversions, because the whole idea is to grow your business. Using the web and going online as a business is a very different proposition than as an individual just surfing and looking things. So once you know like what your goals are, like how and get traffic, how am I going to get traffic? That brings us to number 6, which is tell your story online and use social media to spread the word. Today, especially with small businesses, people are looking for building relationships, and they want to know about you, and they want to know everything prior to actually contacting people or doing things. And that means trying to be transparent and sharing the experience of you and your storytelling and your information online as well as in person. So if you look at industries, I like to use the example of the real estate, for example. But this was true of many, many businesses a number of years ago. There was an asymmetry of information. People who were the vendors, the businesses, had all the information, and as a consumer, I always had to call. I had to call and find out more. I had to go tell things. When we looked for a house many, many years ago, we sat on one side of the desk. The real estate agent sat on the other side of the desk, and they had just gotten in all these fancy new terminals where they could look up things, but she was the only one who could look it up. And as she's sitting there looking up going, I don't think you'll like this one, and click, 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 I don't think you'll like this one, I'm thinking to myself, I want to jump across the desk and see that information myself. And today, if you think about how people buy real estate, they can look online, they see the overview maps, they see video tours, they have all the information that they need. They call up the real estate agent and say, I want to see this house and this house and this house. So many, many businesses have been there for a while. The thing was always like, no, I'm not going to put a lot of information out there. I want them to call me. Well, again, that's not working as much anymore. So often talk to people who say, I really don't know, I don't have any content, I don't know what to put on my website, I don't know what to say in social media or my email. So one of the rules of thumb I have is if you've told something to 3 or more people, whether that's a trick on how to use a product or explaining how a service works or sharing some industry news, whatever it might be, guess what? That belongs on your website. There's an article for you right there. So the other way I like to tell people to think about it is that if you If someone called you up and said, what could you tell me about whatever your line of business is, you would never say to them, I'm sorry, I can't answer your question. I don't have any content. So you do have content. You just need to think about how can I get it online. Once it's on your website, then you're going to use social media in order to spread the word. Now, question is, should you be on every social media site? It would be really difficult because it seems like there's a new one every day. It is a good idea to claim your profiles, though, to claim your business name. And that way, you know, you have your information even if you direct them to a preferred information. But you want to concentrate on where your audience is and start there. If you're in professional, B2B, LinkedIn might be your place. You know, certain audiences, if you skew younger rather than older, that means you should be looking more at Snapchat or Instagram or some of those. If you have a lot of very visual things, Pinterest, Instagram is good as well. So start with where your audience is and be there. The other thing that is really something important for you in this regard is to use a scheduling tool. I like Buffer. There's other ones out there. Hootsuite is another one. What this allows you to do is to plan your messages and schedule them all out ahead of time. If you know you have a event coming up and you're going to know that the day before I need to post this, 3 days before this, a week before this, here's a save the date post and all, why not sit down at one batch and put them all in at the same time? The websites, if you use something like WordPress, you can schedule posts. If you use your email marketing, you can schedule when emails go out. You can schedule all of your social media with a tool like Buffer. You don't have time to be spending every day on social media in your business. You want to be smart. Get a calendar, create it, set it down for the, you know, the week, the month, even the year. We sit down at the beginning of the year and start planning, okay, what are the themes for the year? There's certain times during the year when certain things happen with your business. Right now, if you are, you know, in the child care area, if you know anything about this area, this is the time when summer camp is really an important time to start ready. So you know you would start promoting that then. If you're an accountant, you know there's the tax season and what are you going to do before the end of the year. So you start with the calendar and figure out what is happening in your business. Get your messages for the month. Drill down and know what kind of content do we already have that we can use again. What are we going to be creating anyway? You know, what type of questions are your customers asking you all the time? Get out a calendar, build it up. Even if you did one blog post a month, at the end of the year, you're going to have 12 more articles on your website. And scheduling it is an efficient way to do that. So number 7, this one's really becoming a lot more important as well, and that is get reviews. Has anyone ever bought anything on Amazon lately? Or even if you didn't buy it on Amazon, did you go and check out the reviews first before what you bought? I mean, it's coming really prevalent across a lot of different areas. We bought a water heater this summer online. Who would have thought, you know, 15 years ago you could do that? And it was delivered, installed, et cetera, and we just never had to go to the store or do anything on doing that. But we got reviews, we knew what kind it was, and we had the information that we need, and you know, they came out and they delivered it, but it was based upon looking at the reviews. So get Google reviews, get Facebook reviews. Depending upon your industry, you may want to have a TripAdvisor, Angie's List, Houzz is another one, Yelp. It is important to take a look at reviews. Just remember, you can't give consideration for getting a review. It's not legal to say to someone, hey, would you please review me and I'll give you a coupon for a free dinner, let's say if you're a restaurant. You can give that to someone, but then technically that person will have to say, I got a free dinner in exchange for this review. So it's important to be careful about that. So those are the 7 steps. If you can go through and, get your domain, get your email, make sure you've claimed your listing on Google and other places and you're consistent, you've got a website to put stuff on, that you're not just putting it out only on social media, you're building an email list, you're telling your story and using social media out there to do it, and you're getting reviews. You have a great web presence, and these are the areas to work on, and any one of them we could really go into depth a lot on that. But I do have a number 8 bonus, okay? So it is important that you be consistent in order to gain traction. If you have 10 Facebook posts this week and nothing for 3 weeks, you're not going to get traction. If you're going to do email, much better off doing, 2 times a month on a consistent day and time, or 1 time a month, or 1 time a week, then I'm going to send 3 emails this week. You're not going to hear from me for 3 more weeks. Maybe you've heard from me on a Wednesday and then there's a random 10 days later. You have to build expectations for people. So if you have a website, update your blog once a month. Do it once a month. Do it consistently. Pick a time that you can manage. And don't be afraid to repeat your messages across the different channels so that you can repurpose and reuse them. You don't have to do something different on your email than you do on your LinkedIn, than you do on your website. Use the same themes and the same messages. If you think about TV, radio, print ads, if you ever purchase any of these, you would never buy just one. It's the repetition and the branding that gets people familiar with you. So you have to make sure that you understand that. We have a lot of success stories on people who now consistently email at a certain time or day. So we have a chamber that does Monday morning with the chamber, when previously they used to do all kinds of different times. They get a lot more traction because everyone knows Monday morning this message is going to come out and it's going to say all the events that are happening with the chamber now. I do that little Tech News Tuesday. I showed you the email of it. It goes out every Tuesday morning at 8:30. I can't tell you how many people have come up to me and said, oh, I look for that every Tuesday. Or now they know that it's going to be there. It's something that they are now expecting and look for in that way. So you get a lot more traction by being consistent. Pick what you can manage. Keep an editorial calendar. And then plan those themes to coordinate with what's happening in your business in real life. So those are my strategies on doing that. I do have from Constant Contact, if anyone is interested in an offer of a $5 a month for 3 months to try it. We also provide you a template that you can use. It's one of the best things that you can do is there is money in your list, but it's an offer from Constant Contact for today for the people on this webinar. I believe we will be able to send you out a link to this plus all the other stuff that you give, and I do want to open it up for questions at this point in time.
Yeah, can you hear me? Donna and
Yes.
Don? Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So I didn't, you may not have noticed, but if you take a moment now to look on your screen, you do have a box, a window, which has a question box in it in which you can type questions. You can also, excuse me, raise your hand. There is an element by your name that you can click that essentially raises your hand, like Anthony Moore just did, or did unraised his hand. I guess he was testing it. And I can unmute you, and if you're hooked up with audio, you can verbally ask your question. We did have, and before I go to the questions that have been already submitted, you will get it takes a day or two for this to turn itself into a recording, and then I will email everybody who registered a thank you email with a link to the video to the recording of this webinar that you can obviously look at your leisure. Next Wednesday, we will replay this in the afternoon. So if you know some people who wanted to attend but couldn't because of the time, they'll have an opportunity to register and attend next Wednesday in the afternoon. And then then the part 2 will be the Wednesday after that. I know this is getting complicated, but just check your email, and we'll keep you up to date on when the next one is, which I think is on SEO, or search engine optimization. So, okay, there are some questions. I think Lamar had the first one. He said, what's the best digital marketing strategy to be used for a commercial cleaning business? And if ever there was a simple question with a very complicated answer, that is one. And I'll just step in and say, Lamar, obviously if it's a commercial cleaning business, you're trying to promote your business to other businesses. So, and I think rather than us trying to answer that completely, this is the kind of question that is best served by a mentoring session with SCORE, or contacting someone like Donna to explore that in greater depth. In addition, I think at the end of this series of 6 seminars, you'll be in a much better position to put together a beginning strategy. And my only advice at this point is, take it one step at a time, get your website in order, and get an effective email program.
The 7 steps we just talked about, right?
There you go.
Those are some of the things. I mean, those are your foundational things that you really want to have. But beyond that, that gives you then a great platform for your message. So it's so important that you also know, just from not strictly a digital, but just from a marketing point of view, who are your customers? What is your differentiator? What's your messages?
Exactly. Yeah. What's your unique value proposition, to use professor speak? Because you need to differentiate yourself to your customers in some way. You can do that digitally. Once you have an email list, you have a huge advantage. So one of the building steps that Donna mentioned is build your email list.
Okay.
And think about it in terms of building a relationship, right?
We have a lot of questions coming in, so
okay.
Barbara Marte, I'm going to unmute you. Can you ask your question?
I'm sorry, I was just playing around with it and I didn't actually have a question.
Oh no, you're on now. You got to think of a question.
Make up a question.
No, that's fine. We'll move on to Karen, who asked, is there a website platform you prefer over others, Wix versus WordPress? Donna?
Well, I like the WordPress platform. It gives you a lot more flexibility. You know, sometimes people say, oh, Wix is cheaper, but, you know, we just talked to someone the other day that ended up spending $2,000 on their Wix website. It just doesn't necessarily have as much of the capability to grow with your business as WordPress does. You can start out simply, but it can grow with you. WordPress right now powers 27% of the entire web, not 27% of blogs or anything like that, 27% of the entire web, from huge sites like the New York Times to simple, you know, couple-page business sites on doing it. So given
lots of good
that, there's
plugins,
also a lot of support
lots of good
for it.
plugins that are free.
There's a lot of good support for it out there too. So it has a large community, and that's why we have recommend that usually to people.
Yep.
Okay, I hope that
oftentimes you'll find a local meetup that will be a WordPress meetup, so you can find local support just from your community.
Yeah, there are a number of WordPress groups in the Philadelphia area that are very active, and they are definitely good groups to be with too. And then the other times too, you know, and again, this is what we do, but you know, this is just a consideration for anyone when you do this. You have to look at too, what's the best use of your time? You know, when it comes to setting everything up for you, a lot of people spend an inordinate amount of time trying to fumble through and get things on their own, when maybe if you would have paid to have someone set it up and teach you how to do it, you would be better. You wouldn't start your business and go to your accountant and say, I think I'll learn what tax forms I need to do and how to set up my chart of accounts and this and that. Typically, you're going to hire someone to set it all up for you, and then you run with it from there. So think about your time and your level of expertise and comfort as you do it as well.
Okay. We will move to another question from Joan, who asked, best way to get reviews for a nonprofit and best websites that review nonprofits. Excellent question, of which I don't have the faintest idea of an answer.
I don't know either.
I think you have to look at it in terms of, you know, the types of reviews, right? I know a lot of nonprofits want to be scored on things like Charity Navigator, because your donors want to know that their money is being well spent. In terms of getting your clients to review you, that's a little bit trickier, I think, from depending upon what type of nonprofit that you are. But, you know, I guess it depends on the type of nonprofit, right?
Yeah.
If I'm a homeless shelter, do I want homeless people recommending the homeless shelter, or do they feel bad about being home? You know, I mean, there's just, it's hard to say, right?
Yeah.
But there are those organizations like Charity Navigator and stuff that actually rate charities, and that's something to look into.
Well, that's a start. Thank you. John asked, and we'll get to all these questions. John asked, I guess in relation to owning a domain name, is this the same as a copyright protection? How long will I own my domain name?
It's not a copyright protection, and you typically have to renew your name every year, although you can buy it and say, I want to buy it for 5 years. What owning the domain name does is it reserves that web name for you. So if you know, like I say, if you were Joe's Pizza and you happen to get joespizza.com, that means nobody else can use that because you own that name.
Okay. Move to Bob. You asked a lot of, not a lot, several questions, all of which I'm not sure we can address every one of these at this time because we don't know your business. But one question is, how does he check that NAP? I'm not sure what that question means. Donna, can you address that?
That the NAP, the name, address, phone number.
Yeah, how do I check that?
Okay, so there was that slide I had in there about you go to Google and find out if you're listed. That's the most important one to do, gybo.org. There's also some other sites that are out there. Now, some of these will try to sell you that you have to advertise on them too, and you don't really, but you can, you can still register and claim your name on them. Facebook is another place. Make sure your information on Facebook is the same as your information on Google, address, etc. There's also a site out there, it's called getlisted.org, and you can put your business name in, and it will go and it will check a number of the different directories for you and tell you, oh, we found 3 entries for you here, or maybe there's ones with an old address, and that's a place to start.
Yep.
Okay, great. Craig asked, to get reviews, do I set myself up on Yelp, etc., and then wait for reviews to come in?
It's a good idea to claim your business on Yelp and places like that, because that way when you do get reviews, you will have the opportunity to respond. It's also okay to, if you have customers and stuff, to some of the different review sites have different policies on them, but it's okay to remind your customers, whether that's, at the bottom of an email or, on your invoice or on a thank you note from your job. We'd love it if you would review us on blah, blah, blah. I believe the SCORE chapters did like a Facebook contest, right, where, like, hey, we'd like you to share your experiences with us, only if you actually have used us for mentoring, and please review us on Facebook, and if you like us and review us, at the end of this 10-day period, we'll draw someone to win a gift card or something like that.
Okay. Next, a question from Dan. If I use email at my domain name, can I still use the email client of my choosing, or will the email be handled through the site that I created my website with? Example, can I still use Gmail, Outlook, etc.?
Right, so if you use G Suite, which is Google's business version of Gmail, you use exactly a Gmail client, and it works just like Gmail, except that it's at your domain. Same thing if you use Microsoft Office 365, it's Outlook. And so you can use whatever email client you want. You're not limited. Then where you own your domain can be completely separate from where your website is and from where your email is. Owning the domain is also usually where what's called the DNS server, and it's like the phone book of the internet. It says when you go to joespizza.com website, go to this server number over here, which could be anywhere. It doesn't have to be with, and then the website does not have to be at the same place that email is.
Okay. And I'm going to throw this one to our college professor. Are there any general rules on how much of a marketing budget should be spent on digital marketing?
No.
Okay.
The rule is you want to market through the channels that are most effective for you. And it depends, again, on your customer and the best way for where your customer lives. That is, if your target customers are spending 80% of their day online, then that's a rule of thumb for where to spend your money. If it's 20%, then that's another rule of thumb. And how do you find that out? You simply ask them. You go to your customers and say, give me 5 minutes. I want to talk to you about how you spend your day. Where do you get your information? How much time a day do you spend online? What do you use LinkedIn? Do you use Facebook, and so on and so forth? Even an informal survey through SurveyMonkey or one of the free survey machines will help you get that information. There is no golden rule. The answer is it all depends.
Yeah, good answer. I mean, it's interesting. The one source we tend to forget about in gaining customer information is actually talking to our customers. You know, we'll do research on Google and we'll look this up, but just go out and talk to customers, find out what they're doing. They're the best source of information. All right, here's one that is one of these tough ones. Terry submits a question. We have updated our website and the old one is still out there. How do we have that taken down or get rid of it? The person who built it is no longer with us, so we don't know the password, etc., etc. And I hear crickets in the background.
No, I mean, well, that is a more technical question,
Yeah.
right? In theory, like what is supposed to happen when you build a new website? You now say, and you move it to a new location. You say, all right, this is the address of the place where you can now find my domain, and you should do something what's called a redirect, and there's a permanent type redirect that would automatically forward any of the old pages over to the new ones. So
Yeah.
it sounds like, though, if both sites are in effect, that maybe there's a new domain name or two domain names, and that, again, if you know, you don't need to know where the website was and how to get into the website. As long as you have ownership of the domain, you can now say, hey, that domain should go somewhere else. You don't actually need to, and it will have just disappeared.
Yes. Yeah, and he's responding saying it's the same domain name. So he has two websites with the same domain name.
Well, then they must be at the same place, and the answer is those old pages need to be redirected.
Yeah,
to the new site.
I think you need a more technical person than a marketing person.
Well, it's also just a more complicated thing than we
Yes.
could answer in this.
Yeah. Okay. There is one other question. Can I link? I guess the question that he's really asking is it permissible to link to other articles beside my own? Is there any laws against that?
No, I mean it is important, like on your website and to a certain extent with social media and stuff too, that if you're going to put up images, that you own those images, and if you're going to publish something on your own website, that it is your own stuff. But there's no reason why you can't reference someone else's article as long as you're linking to it and comment on it. Particularly, like, let's say you have an email newsletter and you don't know what to do, or on social media, right? Social media is social. The rule is kind of like 80% informative, entertaining, useful information, 20% promotion. So if you go to someone's Facebook and they're just all about them, then you typically probably don't, interact a whole lot with them. But if they're sharing other people's stuff on social media, that's perfectly fine to do because you're giving the original person credit. If you are sharing a link in your email saying, hey, here's a great article on the industry that I thought you should know about this news, and give your two-sentence take on it and link over to it, that's perfectly acceptable as well.
Absolutely. And we'll cover this in a little bit more detail on the webinar on search engine optimization.
Yes.
That's one of the ways to increase your
You have one on content too, right?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. And I want to personally thank Don and Donna for giving us their time and their expertise in tonight's webinar. I think it was, I think everyone found it fascinating, informative, and helpful. But most of all, I want to thank everybody who not only registered, but came on board to participate in the webinar. We appreciate it. Again, stay close to your email. You'll get a link to the recording. Our next webinar in 2 weeks, not this coming Wednesday, but the following Wednesday, will be on search engine optimization, which means you've got a website now. How do people find it, and how do people find it easily? And with that, we've taken care of all the questions. If you have further questions, you can email me, and I'll get them to the people, and we'll get answers to you. Again, thanks a lot, and we're out.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.